ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, back with a brand new video. Today, we're taking a look at some, a big-ass thread that's been put together by one of our pals over on Twitter. So let's get started. So this thread was put together by none else than Will-O-Wisp over on Twitter, and I thought we'd take a look at it as it's got quite a long list of things that I think are worthwhile to talk about in terms of Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage if you ain't got one just yet, and let's take a look at what he first says here, which is, I think that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will revisit themes seen in Pokemon Sun and Moon. And I also think that Scarlet Legendary may very well be a horse based on Helios and infrared light, a thread on why. And he goes on further and talks about, I'll talk about Violet first. It's very simple and straightforward, albeit bland font. They get across the point of the name. It's violet in coloration and has white dots, which interestingly, violets the flowers don't have. However, some Putins called Night Sky ones do, which is interesting. And continues on. I think these dots are stars in space, which is often represented with many blues, purples, pinks, and reds. Violet fits on this spectrum, and so does Scarlet as well. As for the grape motif we see, they tend to be a redder and deeper or lighter purple when purple, that is. See, purple grapes aren't really an exact violet and sometimes have little tiny white spots that look like stars, which actually is true. If you look at the general look of like purple grapes, they do look a little dotted sometimes. They also don't have like a pure purple, but it's like a mishmash of, you know, purple, pink, reddish, darkish blue. You know, it's kind of a mix of all those. Moving on to Scarlet. Pokemon Scarlet has a thicker stylized curled font. It's scarlet in coloration with different tones of it in triangles. This makes it look like lava or fire. Spain is a relatively sunny country that is decently warm in the summer, and also it does kind of match with the color of the sun in many ways, but we continue on. As for the orange motif, it is most similar to blood oranges, specifically the husk, as the inside is too deep of a red. The outside can be scarlet, but it isn't always. Also, oranges are ball-shaped and on the spectrum of reddish orange to yellow for the husk. And the sun is often depicted as a simple yellow or orange ball in the sky. Even in the trailer, it's also basically a ball of fire, but sometimes interesting to note is that up close, it's more of a reddish orange to yellowish orange. It has flares and even storms. It's also not all entirely the same color, with different swirls and wisps of one color more than one other. It's more like a logo to Scarlet, more like the logo to Scarlet, which is like a mishmash of multiple colors and not just a singular one, as you may notice. There's also the gimmick present, which is specifically in the Asian logo, or like the, you know, Japanese logo in this case. This time it's a six-tipped star. We need to conduct research on what it could be, but most six-tipped stars result, he found, was Star of David, which I don't think is related in this case, and I don't think it's either related in this case, but we'll see what happens with that. Either way, it is a star gem, which further implies space in some way. It kind of reminds him of the North Star, Polaris. It's not entirely yellow in coloration, but the bottom right corner is, while the rest of it's more of a green bluish color, sort of, so to say, kind of like a kind of a limeish green almost, with a tiny part of the bottom left corner being blue, so we'll see what that turns into. Willow says that he thinks because the region seems to be based on the whole Iberian Peninsula connected to France, we could visit a little town in the post-game and receive Mega Evolutions. And this little town could be based on Andorra. Now, maybe Andorra is not like specifically, you know, related to, like, to France, because tiny portions of France are in the peninsula. And because of this connection, I think for now, I'm going to assume that this star has to do with the infinity energy as well, and maybe a way to use Ultra Necrozma again. It needs to be back somehow, which I personally disagree with, but if that could be a possibility here, we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that the fact that Andorra is so close there and within the area of, you know, like where this region is based on, it wouldn't be surprising if they did have a little place where there is a connection, the same way that the Sinnoh ruins are a direct connection between Sinnoh and Johto. How would it like be impossible for them to include literally some connection directly, like a literal place that connects for Kalos and this brand new Scarlet and Violet region? Like, wouldn't it be really logical for them to connect the two together? At least I think so. It continues on. Also worth mentioning that the official flower of Spain is the red carnation, and the official flower of Portugal is the lavender. Just kind of neat. There were also a few of these in the trailer, as well as lots of emphasis on light, the sun, and stars in scenes we've seen. Like you see right here, there is like essentially like a little star with an S-shaped thing in the middle of it. So there is a lot of emphasis on essentially space in this case. Also, obviously, infrared light and ultraviolet light, further aiming towards the light being the main theme again. Now, I'll be going over why I think the Scarlet legendary will be based on Helios and Infralight to begin with. He'd like to give a thank you to these people right here, Blazing Zinneror, Arbusto, as well as Sith Each E, who basically all got together and have been thinking about this and discussing it with him to come down to what the final conclusion is. So here's what he says. So first he says, I want to say that they do seem to hint towards the next box legendaries as of late, while making the hint Pokemon different and unique enough in their own ways too. So if this is a trend, we won't know Sword and Shields for certain until the legendaries are officially revealed. But here's what we got those, right? So the way they're hinting here, first of all, for Generation 5, they're using the nature and different stuff to it, but in the first one, it's nature, hinting for Pokemon X in this case, with, I'm thinking Zosbuck, right, which hinted towards Xerneas. But then we had Mandibuzz, which hinted to Yveltal, which was nature and then death. Then we have Sun/Royalty, which we had, I guess, the lions from X and Y. I don't remember these guys. Pyroar, right? Hinted Solgaleo. And then we had Noivern hinting, of course, with the night and dark theme, hinting at Lunala. Next up, we though had Lycanroc, day and night forms. Those two hinted towards Zacian and Zamazenta. So offense, defense, and related wolves. So basically, there's usually some sort of Pokemon in the previous games that hint to the next one. So it's not too far-fetched to assume they're doing that this time again. Let's look at what the possibilities are then, because Blazing Zinneror posted some stuff that could be interesting. He says here, Blazing Zinneror posted the first image yesterday and it gained a lot of attraction, but something that Satishi realizes that it seems to be in the shape of a chariot wheel, which is the orange emblem is also seemingly made out of. And you can look here, yes, it does seem to be pointing towards something along those lines, a circle and then a triangle, which would match with the stuff we already talked about, or a chariot wheel in this case. We also know that Sword and Shield's codename is Titan. We don't know if this means anything yet, but Helios is a son of some Titans. Also, gold represents perfection in alchemy and enlightenment, wealth, higher ideals, etc. Just about everyone everywhere else, and gods sure do seem to be near perfect, so a near perfect Pokemon wouldn't be too far-fetched. You can see right here it says Helios often depicted in art with a radiant crown and driving a horse-drawn chariot through the sky. Titan, Hyperion, and Thera, so our brothers and goddesses, and all connected in this case. It also says Helios also set and rose the sun, another hint towards light if true, and Greece and Spain have had some history. Also, X and Y's legendaries were based on Norse mythology, so recent box legendaries don't always need to be based entirely around the culture the games are around. So yes, logically speaking, just because we're basing this region on, Spain and Portugal, it doesn't mean that the actual Pokemon legendaries are going to be based on Spanish mythology or Latin mythology or Portuguese mythology. It could be based on something totally different. They could even use Chinese or Indian or, even American, mythology for this if they want to. I mean, it's not really a lot of, American mythology per se, but you get the point I'm trying to say. Maybe they can put in the Sasquatch in there or something. Nonetheless, we continue on. He continues on. They also seem to be make restricteds that deal with the past gens if they get too out of hand. So Zacian and Caloric's Shadow definitely fit this, so I anticipate some restricteds to deal with them this gen. Arbusto Mortu also brought this up too, so the Scarlet Legendary, which I think will be a fire horse, could also be electric or grass type, and maybe have a levitate if not some new broken ability, or a renamed levitate that isn't ignored by Moldbreaker like the Light Trio's abilities. And he continues on here, which is the post itself, where it says, what does the orange fruit symbolize? Like many fruits, the orange has become predominantly a symbol of fertility. If it is depicted in Paradise, it is a fruit of the fall, occasionally replacing the apple as the forbidden fruit. As a color, orange is most often linked to flame and fire, conveying their qualities. Orange can also mean luxury. With the continued post here, results of the pilot test suggest a ton of oranges can produce up to 50 kilowatt hours of electricity, enough to power 5 homes for one day. Emesius says if all Sevius oranges were harvested, they could create enough electricity to power 73,000 homes. So Sevius, famous oranges, used to produce green electricity. That would be pretty cool if true. Now, we continue on, but we're about to end this. So if anything was missed, then please let them know, and thank you all for reading it. But I do think this is kind of interesting. A horse kind of legendary. I feel like a lot of people wouldn't want that because we already kind of had that, but a chariot based legendary Pokemon, I do wonder what that would look like, right? What would they actually make it look like? What would it turn out like? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions, and that's going to be it. So thank you to Will-O-Wisp for sharing this. Links will be down below. You guys can check out this if you want to do it on your own, and that's going to be it today, guys. What do you guys think about this? Do you want a Pokemon based on a chariot? Do you not want that? Do you want one based on Helios or not? Let me know in the comment section. I'll see you next time. Peace out and bye-bye.